Hey everybody, it's Rachel at From Moments to Milestones, and I'm going to put together our newest paper pad card kit featuring the Welcome Winter 6x6 paper pad from Carta Bella. And we created 7 cards, so you'll get all the pre-cut pieces to create these 7 cards, and instructions with a picture of each card and a list of the supplies we used in the back. So we will go ahead and get started with this first one. Friends are like quilts, they never lose their warmth. And we are going to start by creating this little quilt over here. So you should have lots of little squares. We're going to put all this other stuff off to the side so we don't lose it. And I believe you have 5 of each. So you have the dark blue with snowflakes, some plaid, and then this dark blue with little stars on it. So you also have a piece of just plain copy paper, and that's what we're going to build this quilt on. So I am going to just put adhesive all around this piece, and then I can just layer up my pieces. So I am going to start right up here in the corner, and I'm just gonna, really you can go in any pattern you want, and I'm gonna do my best to line them up, and then when I'm done at the end I can make a trim around the edge to make it all straight. So I did the best I could with cutting those straight. Let's see, we need this one next. All right, so I have them all on there, and then you can see there's a little bit of white showing there, and it's a little long there. So I'm just gonna, you can take scissors or a trimmer and repair that. All right, so I have my trimmer here, and I am just gonna straighten that all up. You can still see a little bit of white there. Do back side as well. And obviously, if you used a square die, everything would have been at the exact same size. I may have matched up better, but I just cut 1 by 1 inch squares, and it worked out just fine. So one thing we're going to do here, and this is optional, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to, but I did do it on my sample. So if you can see, it has texture, and so normally, you know, quilts have a print quilted into them. So I'm just going to take an embossing folder, run this through, and it'll give it that texture of fabric. And so today I'm using this Doris. It's just a snowflake pattern. So stick that in there and run it through machine. All right, so I have run that through the machine. Whoops, trying to open it the wrong way. And so now you can see on the back that it is embossed. So now we can put the rest of our card together. So you have this white rectangle that has the stitching around the outside, Salon Bondi, and we're going to stick that right onto the card base. Like that. And then our little quilt is going to go onto the left side, and I just glued that straight down. All right. And now we have, this is a Kaiser Craft sketch circle die. It's an older one. And we're going to put this down and then our little sentiment off to the side. So I'm just going to use a little bit of wet glue on the back of that. Like so. And then this, I did pop up some foam squares. Put that right there. And then the rest of this, we're just gonna scatter throughout. So first I'm going to, this is just a circle I punched out of foam, and then I have a punch that punches those two little buttonholes, and so we're going to put this thread through there and glue it to the back. So all right, and I'm just going to you could tie it off. I'm going to put it up on foam anyway, so I think that's what I'll do. Won't have any bulk that way, and then I'll just trim off the excess. And then I'm going to put a little foam square on the back of that. And I put it off to the side because I kind of have it hanging off. And then we'll put, I'm going to put some glue over that knot as well to keep it together. Put it on like that. And then you have a couple of these stamped and cut out buttons. I have those up on foam as well. So I've got one down here and one up there. And then we have, now on my card I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 snowflakes. You have 7 in your kit. That's just the die cuts out 7 at a time. So feel free to use them all. Whatever works for you. I'm just going to take them off the Post-it tape and spread them out here. And I have one up here. My glue is blowing bubbles. There we go. A little one there. And this one. And let's see, we have one right there. And one up here. And this one is white on white, but you can still see it. And then I have this one other little small one. I'm gonna leave that last big one off, I think. All right, and then we have some of these gems. These are not adhesive backed, and then these are. So with these here, I'm going to use an X-Acto knife, if I can find one. Maybe I don't have one here. I will use I'm just going to go ahead and use a piercer. And I put that in the center of those tiny snowflakes. All right. And then the gems, I just have them scattered around as well. So I'm going to put one there. All right, took my gems off the Post-it, so I'm going to go ahead and put them on there. I'm going to put one here. And we're really just going from the bottom left across where those meet. So there's really no right or wrong, just whatever looks good to you. Let's see, where do I want this last one? Whoops. Right there. All right, that finishes that card. All right, our next card is Warm Greetings on a Wintry Day. And before I get started here, you have a couple of these snow banks. These are stitched hillsides from Lawn Fawn, and I am going to add a little bit of color to them because they're so white. And I am using pumice stone distressed oxide and a piece of, or a sponge, and I'm just going to add some color to the top of the snow. Just add some shadows. Lets you know where one starts and the other one ends. That's it for that. And then if you choose, I'm going to add a little bit of shadow onto my deer, kind of coming up from the bottom. So same thing, this I'm using walnut stain regular distress ink, and I'm just going to hit the feet and just the bottom of the body, just like that. That's it. And now my deer, you'll notice this is the same deer, but I'm just going to flip one over so that you have one looking into the scene instead of all of them looking out. So this one is flipped over. All right. And then I think I did add a little bit to the trees since I was adding color. This paper has white core, these trees, so they're a little white on the edges, and this helps take that away. All right. So that is good. Put those off to the side. Clean that off. All right, so now we're ready to put together our card. So we're gonna start with this blue polka dot paper. Kind of looks like snow coming down. And our card's gonna open from the bottom, so this is gonna go on the top. All right. I see mine is a little long, so I'm just going to trim that off. All right, and then you should have these two snowbanks. So you have one that has a sentiment on there, and that is going to line up right with the bottom of the card, and the other one is going to kind of tuck in behind like so. So I'm going to, and I don't have anything popped up. So I'll start with this one. And I just put adhesive on the bottom because I am going to tuck in some trees and the deer, so that will allow me to do that as well. Okay, so it looks like that. And you should have two large trees. A small tree. So you're going to have a large tree here, and the other one's going to kind of tuck in back there. So I'll just put some glue on there. And you could certainly go up higher if you wanted. I just want to make sure my whole scene stays inside the frame, so that's why I'm not going like up on that hill, but it's completely up to you. And then the other large tree is going to go right in here. And I did tuck that one behind that bank a little. Okay. And then we have the deer. So we're going to have one here. And I think I actually added the deer after I put the frame on so I could play around with the placement a little bit. I kind of don't like that tree is coming out of the bottom, so let's see if I can pull that up real quick. And I can. So I like wet glue and just a little bit. So this way I could have, so you may want to do that. A little late now, but you may want to play with the placement of your deer first. There, I like that better. Okay, so now I'm going to put foam on the back of this frame before I put it down. And I will tell you with this frame, this is a Hero Arts die, and it really, on the edges here, it just embosses, but it always cuts the wood. So you need to be, when you're putting the foam on, careful or mindful that you are, holding that together so you don't see all that white behind there. That's gonna bug you. Or you could just opt not to pop it up. That's an option as well. So I'm just gonna kind of make sure it's together and then put my foam down. That's how I like to do it. So now you can see a little bit, and it's not too bad. If it really bugs you, you could always add some ink. I'm gonna start down here like so. Okay, and that is down. There's our frame, and so now I'm going to tuck in the deer. So what I did is I took a larger foam square and I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to put a piece here and here, and then I'm going to put wet glue on the legs. All right. Better take the backing off. And then I'm going to glue the legs down, but the body will be sticking up, and that will give it some dimension. You could certainly glue it straight down if you wanted, but then it appears like it's in front of the trees, even more so than it already is. And then this deer is going to get tucked in back there. Like so. And then this is the one that we have turned the other direction. And it's up to you, could tuck it behind or put it right in front. And I did the same thing on that with just a little foam on the back. And then I'll put the wet glue on the legs. All right, and then we're going to finish off. We have these 6 little snowflakes. We're just going to scatter those around the scene in the background. So I'm going to take those off the Post-it, and I'm going to go ahead and place them, and then I'll go back and glue them. That way I can be sure I have them where I want them. All right, we'll go through and put down some glue. All right, that card is finished. All right, our next card is Warm Winter Wishes. just want to be careful. There's lots of little pieces in some of these kits. We are going to start by layering up. We have these pine cones here. So we're going to get out that walnut ink again and the sponge, and I'm just going to go around the outsides of the solid pieces. And then on these, I'm going to actually, whoops, I got the wrong side. And I'm just going to kind of go over the whole thing just to darken it up. All right, and then I'm going to just glue that outline onto the solid. All right, so those are ready. And then I'm going to take, you have these two branches with the circles on the ends, and we're gonna take these, they're white, but they're blue on the other side. And we're gonna glue them to the ends of these branches. This one. All right, let's set those aside while we build up our card here. Well, let's do one more thing and then we can put the card together. So you have, this is a cutout from your paper pad, and then we have this sentiment. So you would be more than welcome to use that if you prefer, and you can add a sentiment somewhere else or no sentiment at all. Today we are going to cut out this and just use the frame. So you can do two things. When I made the card, I just used an X-Acto knife and a ruler and cut out that square, and then I had a frame. But because this bottom portion here is going to be covered up, you can go right from the bottom and use scissors, and it'll go right back together the way you want it. And then you can save this or you can get rid of it, it's up to you. So now we have our frame, and we're gonna put foam on that. So I'm gonna hold that back together where it needs to be and put the foam right over it. Okay, I'm gonna, actually, before I put that on, I did ink the edges of this frame, so I'm going to do that real quick before I put it on there. It'll be easier to do now. And it'll just help hide any imperfections when you were trimming. So I'm going to go ahead and do the inside as well. And then that will fit right on there like so. So I'm going to pull the backing off. And just place that right over the foam. And there we have our sentiment. And then I am going to ink these papers because I did that on my original. You could skip this step if you don't want to do that. So this piece is going to go in the center. We're going to do that last. So you should have two long pieces, and they're going to go here and here. This is a center step card. You can buy these already cut from the paper company, or the Paper Cut. That's where we got these from. But so you'll have two of those, and they're going to go here and here, and then you're going to snip off what's left, and then that piece you're going to use here and here so that this is a continuous, so it looks continuous on the card. Okay, so we'll start with, I wonder if these fit right there. Almost. I think that's what I'm going to show you on this one what you should do with yours. So you're going to, might be easiest to open this up and just put adhesive on that portion that's getting covered here. Put a little right there as well. I probably should go clean my hands because I'm getting ink everywhere. All right. So I'm going to line it up like so. Okay. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and snip that off. And then that piece is going to go just like that. And it'll line right back up with that. Okay. And then the only other thing that you'll want to do is, because we cut that, you'll need to ink that as well. Okay, so on this one, I'm going to do it a little different because I cut mine wrong. So this time, because mine are cut the correct size, I'm just going to put it on there. Okay, and then this piece here I'm going to put just like so, and then I'll trim it off. But on yours you will have that leftover piece. I like to cut from the back so I can see what I'm doing there. Okay. And I'm just going to ink that. All right, so then you're going to have that looks like that. So then when it's closed, it's a continuous of that plaid. And now this is going to go right over the top. And now I see that that is not going to work. Now, with yours, that piece that you have that's long and that you cut will be pretty long, and you can actually take it and turn it lengthwise so that it'll go past this mark here so that you won't have the problem that I have on that side. So I'm actually going to use this piece. I'm going to line up my plaid marks and then I'll cut off the excess. So that's really the best way. So line up my plaid so it looks continuous. And we'll try this again. All right, so now this piece is going to go right there in the center. Okay, so it's going to look like that. And this little sentiment is going to go right in the center on this diamond orientation, and then all of our goodies are going to come out from there. So you're just going to make sure you don't want to put adhesive here and here. You'll glue your card together. So I am going to use wet glue so it doesn't come off. Just center it in there like so. Okay. And then what we're going to do is take our greenery. So you should have 2 large, 2 small, and 2 branches. And I'm going to add a little bit of ink to my greenery as well, since I did everything else. I'm pretty sure I have a short one, so I'm just going to go ahead and go for it. I have a short one coming out the bottom, and then we're going to put the branch in, and then this top branch is going to go on top of our frame. So we'll do that on both sides. So the smaller one, kind of coming out in that corner there, and then the berry branch is gonna get tucked in there like that. And this here, there, and then our two. So one of them, I do have foam because that frame is up on foam. So this one I'm actually gonna put a piece of foam on the bottom, like on the narrower portion of each one. And some wet glue. I did pull that off, okay. So that one there, and then we'll do the same thing with this. And that card is finished. Okay, Hello Winter is our next card. And we can start with these pine cones again. We're going to do the same thing we did last time. We'll ink them up and layer them up. And then if you choose, you can add some ink to the greenery. It's up to you. I'm going to do it just because it has that white core and it dulls that down a little bit, but it's definitely not necessary. All right, that's good. And oops, I forgot to layer them up. Let me do that real quick. Okay, I have everything inked up and ready to go, so now we're just going to put our card together. So this, make sure it's opening the right way, this blue plaid is going to go down first. And then I'm going to stick that right in the center, and then our frame will go over it. That's really the easiest way to do it. Center that up, and then our frame, and I'm going to use foam on that again. All right, I'm peeling off the backing, and I'm going to put my frame down. Okay, there's that. Now you have 3 large pieces of pine branches and then these 4 smaller ones. So this larger one is gonna kind of go like so, and you can tuck it in there. If you don't have room to tuck, I'm actually gonna trim a little off and tuck it in there like that. So let me go ahead, and I'm not gonna put a lot of adhesive till I know I've got it right where I want it. Okay. And then this one, actually, if I remember right, that gets tucked behind there. So I'm going to tuck that one in like so. Maybe not so much. Okay. And this one is going to go in there like that. And then those other branches are kind of fillers. So where I see this blue is where I'm going to fill in the rest of those. But let's do our pine cones and then we'll do the fillers. So before I do the pine cones, you'll notice mine have what appears to be snow on there. And what I used to do that is this Hero Arts embossing powder and white puff. And so when you heat it, it puffs up and gets shiny like snow. So get what I need here. I have a coffee filter, got these. And then what I'm going to use is a quickie glue pen. And I'm just going to draw on there with a pen where I want, and I'm not covering the whole thing, just where I think snow might be sitting. And then I'm going to take this, pour it on there, shake it off, and then we'll do the other one. And you could use wet glue here too, or if you have a Versamark pen would be good. I just didn't want anything too bulky. I wasn't sure what the wet glue would do when I heat it up, so this works out well. All right, so set this off to the side for a minute. And now I'm going to heat these up. So this is kind of what it looks like beforehand. All right, and this is what it looks like after. So you can see the it's melted together, and the more you heat it, the more it'll puff up and kind of melt together. So now we have some snow-covered poinsettias, pine cones. All right, so one of them I have kind of tucked in. It's going to be just like that. And then the other one I have up here in the front. So this one I don't have popped up or anything. And that's why I just put a little adhesive so I could go in here and add what I need to add. I'm going to go back in there and tuck that in. And then this one's going to come out here, but I want it on some foam. And I'm going to put a little wet glue on there as well. So like that. So there's our pine cones, and now we're just going to finish by tucking in these other pieces. So I see blue in there and I don't want to. So I'm going to put some glue on there. There we go. And another large one I'm going to tuck in here. Let's see. And then on this one, I kind of have it just laid across the top, and you could try to tuck it into one of the holes in this so it kind of looks more natural. That way it's not just sitting on top. So just like that. You get them where you want them, go ahead and glue them in there. And then you can always go back and add some foam in spots if you like the dimension here and there. So I'm going to take these small foam squares, pull the backing off first, maybe. All right, and I want that piece right there to pop up. So I'm going to put some foam there. I'm going to do the same thing right in there. And that card is finished. All right, our next card is birthday wishes. And yours may have a little, it's going to have a little disclaimer note in here. When we were making this card in card class yesterday, I realized that this piece that I cut here, this came right, it's a part of those cut apart from a piece of paper. It had 3 things across the top. And so I cut this out, and you can see it fit right inside this frame that I have. But a lot of them, now this one's actually works, but some of them in class were just more narrow. So I think it's just the way the manufacturer printed the papers. Sometimes maybe it was scooted over. And so a lot of people ended up with something that fit like this, or like you could see through all the way around. So if that's you, inside your kits, so this is the kit, and you have your 7 card kits in here, but you also have the remainder of the 6x6 pad. And any scraps that I had, I tuck inside the pad. So inside your scraps, you will have this piece of paper, and it is a blue polka dot piece, and it looks really, it's very close to that color. And you can take that and cut it down so that it will fit behind. And then you can fussy cut, and it doesn't have to be perfect because it's blue, and you could put that in there. So that's my fix for that, because the kits were already cut before I realized it, but that really will work. And I'm probably going to just do that today so you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to take a pencil and mark where I want to trim it. So I'm going to trim right there, and I'm just going to, there's polka dots on there I can use. All right, and I'm going to pitch that, and so now I can put that over like so. So we're just going to start right there. And I did pop up my frame, so I'm going to go ahead and put foam around it. So if yours fits, you still are going to put foam around the frame, and you're just going to lay it over that snowflake if it fits. Okay, if not, find you that piece of scrap paper, and then you'll end up with a piece that looks like this. Okay, and then this does not have to be perfect. I am going to get as close as I can, but I'm not going to worry about getting real detailed. And the snowflake has nice straight lines, just like that. And then you're not even be able to tell that I cut that out. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. Right in the center. Okay, so now I have that created. So now we're going to set that off to the side, and you're going to need this piece here, this strip of blue snowflakes, and your vellum piece with your embossed sentiment. So I'm going to first add the blue snowflake strip to the bottom of the card, about a 1/2 inch, 3/8 to a 1/2 inch from the bottom, like so. And then the sentiment is going to sit right over the center of that. But we're going to wrap around the edges so we can hide our adhesive on the vellum. So I'm going to center that up, and then I'm going to wrap this side first. I'll go ahead and adhere that. All right, get the other one where I want it. You don't want to pull too tight or it'll bow your card, so make sure it's nice and flat. All right, oops, I got a little crooked. Fix that. Okay, so it's going to look like that. And now put these little pieces away here, and now we can finish up the rest of this. So I'm going to put adhesive on the back of the blue. Make sure my card's open in the right way. I'm going to put down that blue. And then this will go down over that centered. this is going to go up here. Use some wet glue on the back of that. All right, and so what you should be left with is a little bitty snowflake. And if you want, you can try to pop that up. It's a really small, I did do it on this one, but I think today I'm just gonna glue it straight down. It just adds a little bit, and then you can offset it however you want. Actually, I think that's how I'm gonna do it. And then you have small rhinestones, and then you should also have one large one. So this large one's gonna go in the center of that snowflake. And then your other rhinestones, which, there they are, you should have 12 altogether, in groups of 2 are gonna go around your snowflake. So we'll grab these first. And I'm just gonna put them on that straight portion. And then these, I'm gonna go ahead and cut them apart. So if you have a long line of them, you're gonna wanna cut them apart at 2, because it is like a, they're in a row and they're all connected. So you'll wanna cut them apart at 2. And the last set. Now, I had someone in class that didn't want to fidget with those little rhinestones, and if you don't want to, you don't have to. You could definitely add glitter or leave it white. It's up to you. But that card is finished. Okay, our next card is Let It Snow with these pretty mittens. This one will go together pretty quick. So, let's see. First, we'll put this on first. So you will have this piece of paper, and it's going to have a hole somewhere, but don't worry, we're going to cover up the hole like so. So go ahead and do that. And what we're going to do next is you're going to have a strip of blue, and we're going to glue it like so. Now this one also has a hole in it, and we're going to cover that up with that, so no need to worry. We're just using every little square inch of our paper that we can. And so you'll just take that, and I want about 1/8 of an inch showing. So I've got adhesive on the back here. I'm going to get it where I want it. Set it down, and then I'm going to cut off the excess. I'm not sure if yours fits perfectly. You may not need to do that. All right. And then you should have, you're going to have 4 pieces of twine. So one is thinner than the other 3. You can set that one aside. But these 3 right here, we're going to wrap around the bottom of this mitten paper before we stick it onto our card. So I am going to put some adhesive on the bottom, just on the edges, near the bottom, okay? And the first string I'm gonna put about right here. So about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. And I'm gonna wrap it. And this one I'm just gonna go straight across. I kind of use the plaid to see where I got it. All right, like so. And then the next one, I'm going to kind of do this. Well, actually, I'm just going to go right above it, okay? So you're going to do 3 straight lines of it. So there's one. So I just completed this card and realized that my video stopped recording. And that is a bummer. So I'm going to try to walk you through where I was. I believe it cut off when I was putting these 3 threads on the back of this mitten paper. So what I did is took those, there were 3 threads that were the same length, and I wrapped them around the back of this mitten paper, and they were in a row. So there's about 1/4 of an inch between each one. There were 3 straight lines. Then you had a thinner piece of thread, this one here, and I just took that, I tucked it behind all 3, and I tied it once. I have for my next kit, I'm going to grab this piece of string so I can kind of show you what I did. Okay, so what I did with this, it's like 2 threads there. You're going to take it, you're going to tuck it behind wherever you want. You can go in the middle. I went off to the side, and you're just gonna tie, and it brings it together. Okay, and then you have those 2 strings, and you have a button, and you're going to take one string and come up through the back, and the other one and come up from the back through the hole, so that your button sits on top of that with the strings coming out of the buttonholes. And then you're going to tie a bow, and then to secure that bow so it doesn't come undone, you're going to put a dot of wet glue and put that little blue snowflake on top of your bow. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So put the mitten onto the wood. This is popped up in the center, and that should complete that card for you. Sorry about that. If there's any questions, you can always go look to the written instructions. All right, our last card is Winter Wishes. Let me get that out. All right, so this one will go together pretty quick. So we're going to start by, we'll stick that tree down onto the blue mat. Like so. All right, and then this plaid paper, green on one side. So this card opens this way, and we're going to put that plaid paper down. And then the flip side is green, so we're going to put a green border strip over here on the other side. I'll put that right here. Okay, and then this piece is going to go there. I do have that popped up. Now you can glue it straight down. If you don't like using a lot of foam, that's fine too. All right, so, and you can see here on this card I inked all the papers. This card I did not, so you can see the difference and decide for yourself if you want to do that or not. Okay, it's a subtle difference. And then you have 2 buttons left, so they're blue on one side and cream on the other. And you have one long piece of crochet thread. So I'm going to start with the blue, and I am going to put it through the top. So this side through the top of the blue, and this side through the top of the blue. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to pull it about like that. So you can tie a knot if you want, which I'm going to do, but I want this to be as long as it can, so I can tie a bow. So if you can tie a bow with a short amount, then you should have plenty here. You could also just tape or glue this, the ends to the back, but I want to make sure it doesn't come out. So I'm going to tie it once and trim. And trim the other side. Okay, so there's that one. And then with this one, I'm going to come up from the back. So this time I'm coming up from the back, both sides. And I'm going to tie a bow. All right, get the loops the way I want them. And then I'll just cut off the excess. And now I have the 2 buttons. So I pop both of them up. I'm just going to put a foam square in the back of each one. That one. I actually don't think I want my loops quite so big, so I'm gonna, yeah, that looks better to me. So one will go there. And I'm just putting them right over the seam of that green, like so. And that card is finished. That completes our video for today and this card kit. If you'd like to purchase a kit, you can visit our website at www.frommomentstomilstones.com. These are the cards we made today. Thank you so much for watching and purchasing kits if you're doing that, or just following along for fun today. We do appreciate you. Thank you, and we'll talk to you again soon.